Hello, NYWC, and gather around for another DVD review, as I will be reviewing Friend or Foe. This event took place back on April 28th, 2007, from the Deer Park Community Center, which was on Homer Avenue. The event begins with the Foreign Legion, represented by, at this time, their manager, Prince Charles, Francois Lin, and Ahmad Ali. They come to the ring, and Charles is berating the crowd and that everyone's being disrespectful, and they want everybody to stand up for the Iraqi national anthem. And it's playing, and the crowd's not getting up. And he notices the two timekeepers, and they weren't standing. And then he was saying, "You guys get up, stand and show respect for this Iraqi anthem." And Ahmad Ali takes his disrobes and steps out of the ring and attacks. First, he attacks the man who eventually became Flawless Blake Morris, and throws him into the guardrail, and then he throws him into the ring, and then the other one was John Silver. He eventually jumps on Ahmad's back, and I do believe Francois Lin got his licks in. I won't say that 3 times fast. But then all of a sudden, Bruce Springsteen's Born in the USA plays. Out comes JTK Tackleberry at the time, but it became JT Kaysen, and Oscar, who had Tara Charisma in their corner. They come to the ring. They clear the ring of Ahmad and Francois. But then out comes Ahmad Jihad Akbar and Mega, and they do a number on Tackleberry and Oscar, and Mega basically splashes both Tackleberry and Oscar, basically grinding them into mincemeat. And then eventually out comes Jerry Lynn and Papa Don with a chair, and Jerry takes the microphone and he's saying, "I was born in this country," and he's calling them lazy bums, and it led to a tag match that happened right then and there as Jerry Lynn and Papa Don faced Mega and Ahmad Jihad Akbar. I won't say that name 3 times fast. Eventually Papa Don does an airplane spin on Akbar and gives him a Samoan drop. Mega eventually boots Papa Don out of the ring. Papa Don breaks Akbar's sleeper hold attempt with a suplex. Gives Jerry Lynn the hot tag. Jerry's doing a number, is like having his way. He tries to give Akbar the cradle pile driver, but Mega jumps to the ring. He goes for a clothesline. Jerry ducks, and Mega clotheslines Papa Don off the apron. Akbar backdrops Jerry. Jerry avoids contact, tries to make a tag, but Papa Don's not there. And the end came when Mega gave Jerry Lynn a chokeslam and pinned him, enabling Mega and Ahmad Jihad Akbar to defeat Jerry and Papa Don. Papa Don gets the microphone, and I think he kind of lost the crowd. He was telling Jerry, "I used to be one half of the solution. I have that Joker's Wild title shot in my back pocket. I was thinking we go after the tag team title." Jerry turns to the crowd. Papa Don hits him from behind, and Jerry says, "I changed my mind. I'm challenging you for the Interstate Championship right now. Get a ref out here." And an impromptu match for the Interstate Championship was on. Papa Don, who had the early advantage until he missed a top rope headbutter. Jerry makes a comeback and he hits the TKO, but Papa Don kicked out of that. Jerry gives Papa Don a clothesline, and Papa Don does a 360 job. Papa Don gives Jerry the stun gun, which was Steve Austin's finisher in WCW. And then Papa Don picks Jerry up like a body slam, but he turns that into a Uranagi, but I think Jerry kicked out of that. Papa Don leaves the ring and he gets a chair, but ref Andre stops him. He grabs a chair and he tries to take it outside the ring. Jerry waistlocks Papa Don. Papa Don hits a low kick, and then small packages Jerry Lynn to win the Interstate Championship. Up next, we saw singles action with Joey Brajol taking on Joe Etel. Brajol hit a leg lariat, rolling senton. Etel came back with an enziguri and a missile dropkick off the top rope. Brajol gave Etel a power bomb, hit a spin kick. Brajol missed a top rope splash. Etel hit that DDT that not only The Rock but the late Jimmy Del Rey was known for. Eventually, the end comes when Brajol gives the Etel, like, it's kind of like the curtain call that Goldust is known for, but he like lifts him up and twisted him, and Brajol pins Etel to pick up the victory. Next up was tag team action as Dan Barry and Alex Reynolds took on Plasma, who we know as is currently in AEW as Trent, and his partner was Maverick, the premier, who later became Tony, who we know as Tony Nese, the premier athlete. Maverick in the early going hit a dive to the floor on both men. Maverick took a lot of punishment when the heels got the advantage. Plasma eventually got tagged in. He hit a double missile drop kick on both Barry and Reynolds. Plasma and Maverick hit a double DDT destroyer. In case you don't know, you know about the Canadian destroyer that Petey Williams was known for. They hooked a DDT destroyer on, I forgot, Reynolds or Barry took that move. Plasma, he was going to give Barry the Dude Buster, but Alex Reynolds with some brass knucks hits Plasma with him and turning Barry to the point where Barry pins Plasma and the referee calls for the bell. But when the referee raises Alex Reynolds' arm, the brass knucks fall out from under his armpit, and the referee restarts the match. Maverick cactus clotheslines Alex out of the ring, and Plasma hits the Dude Buster on Dan Barry, enabling Plasma and Maverick to defeat Alex Reynolds and Dan Barry. Oh, by the way, folks, I forgot to mention, well, actually, I'll try to mention this later, I was at this show. But next, in tag team action, we see the Dirty Rednecks, which was the debuting Dirty Moore, who we know today is one half of the Dirty Deeds with bearded villain Johnny Malloy. Dirty Moore and the late Southern Vinny Stylen, who had returned after a near 2-year absence at this time, and they were calling themselves the Dirty Rednecks and waving the Confederate flag. They were basically on a promo, doing a promo and putting down the crowd, and nearly, I don't know if I could say it was considered like a racial promo. Their opponents, Javier and Benny Martinez, they're about to come out, and I forgot it was Vinny or Dirty Moore. One of them, he said they called them dirty, and I don't know if he was about to say a racial remark, but Javi and Benny hit the ring, the match gets underway. They hit the Rednecks with a double Hurricane Rana on each Redneck. The heels eventually took over in this one. Dirty Moore hit Benny with an impressive that twisting arm kick that Sato of the Orient Express was known for. They hit a double suplex on Benny as well. Benny, I believe he caught Vinny in midair with a hip toss in midair as he was jumping off the top or second rope. The Rednecks hit Javier, eventually got tagged in. The Rednecks hit a back powerbomb neckbreaker combo on him. Dirty Moore hits a double DDT on Benny, and the end came when Javi hit the fireman carry into a Uranagi on, I forgot who was it, Vinny or Moore. One of them got pinned. Javier and Benny Martinez beat the Dirty Rednecks. Next up, in a singles matchup, we saw Ken Scampi against Boog Washington, a.k.a. Boogaloo from the Dead Presidents. As soon as Boogaloo hits the ring, they get underway. Boogaloo hits a lariato, an exploda suplex, a German suplex. Scampi eventually catches Boogaloo charging when he's with a foot to the face. He charged him in the corner. Scampi hit a clothesline. He throws Boogaloo in the ropes, and he low bridged him, meaning he pulled down the top rope, and Boogaloo went flying out to the floor. Boogaloo eventually came back, hit a face wash in the corner, and then hit another form of an exploder suplex, as Boogaloo Boog Washington defeated Ken Scampi. And this turned out to be Ken Scampi's last NYWC match. I'm not sure why he stopped working for them, or he was unbooked, or he took a break from wrestling. Next up was a great singles matchup, which saw Quiet Storm take on Bruno Marciano. The crowd was chanting Oompa Loompa at Quiet Storm throughout this match. Both men were exchanging submissions as they each went after the leg. Storm executes a stretch muffler knee scissor combo. Storm tries for the Storm Cradle driver, but Bruno countered it into an ankle lock. Eventually they get back to their feet. They're having a slugfest. Bruno hits a German suplex. When Storm gets up from that, Storm hits a roaring elbow a la Masato Tanaka. Of course, the late Mitsuharu Misawa invented that one. And then I believe Storm put some kind of leg lock on Bruno, and Bruno had Storm in an ankle lock, and it resulted, and both men tapped out, and the referee declared the match a draw. Now, funny thing, this particular matchup, you know, it was an eye-opener for me, because it opened my eyes about Bruno. You know, it really, right there, realized that Bruno Marciano was going to be something. And he was only a few years away from having great matches with Dan Moff in Ace Pro Wrestling. I don't know why Bruno left wrestling, but I wish he was still around. And he was one of the many wrestlers who never got back to me, never responded to their no punches pulled interview questions. Then it was main event time, and it was the friend or foe concept of this very event, as we saw Mikey Whipwreck join forces with then tag team champions Dan Dicey and Jamie Van Leemer as they did battle with the BS Express, Mike Spinelli and Tony Burma, who had teamed up with then heavyweight champion Dickie Rodz. Rodz was accompanied to the ring by Mr. Entertainment Brian Vitko. Whipwreck was accompanied to the ring by Preacher John Cannon and the late Crusher Dugan. Early on, Mikey and Dynasty were double-teaming Spinelli, and they had the advantage. Just prior to the matchup, the Foreign Legion, Prince Charles, Mega, Ahmad Ali, Francois Lin, and Ahmad Jihad Akbar, they were around ringside, and there was like everybody in the six-man, or nearly everybody, was doing dives to the floor, and even the Foreign Legion were getting landed on. I think they eventually left the ringside area. Eventually, somebody brought a shopping cart into play, and Whipwreck, I think, brought that into the ring. Dynasty and Spinelli eventually went into the crowd and brawled. Rodz hip-tossed Mikey onto the shopping cart. Whipwreck eventually retaliates with a whipper-snapper on Rodz. Then Dan Dynasty and Jamie Van Leemer both do cartwheels, and they end up super kicking Whipwreck, and Dickie Rodz gets on top and pins Mikey Whipwreck, enabling Rodz and the BS Express to defeat Whipwreck, Dan Dynasty, and Jamie Van Leemer. And Dynasty and Leemer left the ring with Rodz. But then, out from, I guess, the side door came the Angus brothers, Billy and Danny. They come out and they attack Mikey Whipwreck and left him laying, and that's pretty much how the show wound up ending. Now, as I said, I was at this very show, and there were these two kids who I met, and I think that one was named Darren and the other was named Steven. Now, these guys are probably adults by now, because, again, this show was back in 2007. Steven, oh boy. Boy, he take wrestling so seriously. Because during the match between Bruno Marciano and Quiet Storm, I mean, granted, Steven, Darren, and I, we were the only ones like cheering in the crowd, cheering for Quiet Storm on this night. There were like a bunch of other kids like in the back, and Steven is like just really putting the bad mouth on these other kids. And at one point, one of those kids called Steven Pizza Face, and even, you know, I'm not sure if Steven and Darren are brothers or not. They, I mean, I said, Steven, just don't worry about them. You just watch the show. And Darren said, exactly. And even looking back on this DVD, because we were on opposite the camera for this one, also sitting near me was Steven Scogan. And if that wasn't enough, while watching the DVD, I noticed Jessica DiNezzo, who I had yet to meet at the time. I believe Jim Lundis was in the crowd as well. Can't remember who else I recognized, but yeah, this was a great show, by the way, and another great DVD, I guess. Great show they had. I don't know if the Friend or Foe concept would ever come back to NYWC. So I hope you all enjoyed this one, and I hope you'll enjoy more DVD reviews of NYWC in the future.